few months ago I was ordering some reel-to-reel tape from my usual supplier, Thomann.de, and I noticed on the website there they had available to pre-order a new Spectrum Analyzer type device. It was not badly priced either, £79 I think, plus postage, and it's a rack-mountable one. It's more for entertainment purposes though than professional use. You wouldn't calibrate all your equipment off this. It's more for visual flair if you popped it in a rack of equipment. So I thought it was worth ordering one in. It came, I think, just after Christmas. I haven't opened it yet, so we can have a look at that together. Now, while looking at this, it might also be worth me just getting another one out of the box I got a while ago. And I meant to include it in one of those roundups of different visual spectrum analyzer, decibel meter, loudness meter type things, and forgot completely all about it. It's just been sat on the shelf. You'll see these around quite a lot, just rows of LEDs. This cost about half the price of the other one, but I've got to say that one looks pretty exciting. This one doesn't look that interesting, so maybe we'll just have a quick look at this. But I think the main event is going to be this one. So without any further ado, and I've said that far too many times in videos, but I've said it now, it's already happened, so I can't go back. Let's have a look at this one. Now, it should be no surprise that a video about devices that flash lights will contain flashing lights, but yeah, there's going to be a bit of that going on. Now, this being a device that's sold in Germany, it came supplied with a standard IEC C13 power lead that's terminated in a Schuko plug. But Thomann were kind enough to throw in a fused adapter for that, but I'm not going to use that. I'll just substitute the whole lead for a UK one I've got lying around. Now, there are rubber feet on the base, and you'd no doubt remove those if you were going to rack mount this, and the case is, as you'd expect, made out of metal. The front is dominated by the wide 31 column display, and around the back you can choose between XLR or RCA sockets, with the inputs being on the left hand side and the outputs on the right. Should mention it's also multi-voltage, from 100 to 240 volts, 50 or 60 Hertz. And I don't know if you noticed, but the front is covered with a protective film, so you know what we're going to have to do now. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that, this never happens. Let me have another go. Oh, yeah. That's it. Take it out. There are a couple of controls for the display on the right hand side, while over on the left there's a power switch. Now I'm going to send the output from this off to my powered speakers, and the input, well, I'm going to connect that up to the headphone output of my digital Walkman. And let's see what it does. The display is really quite mesmerising. I think that's down to the number of columns. Your 31 columns. You don't tend to get that many on your average hi-fi spectrum analyzer. Now, while I twiddle these knobs just to show you what effect they have on the display, notice when I turn the brightness down it looks like it's flickering. That's not the case to the naked eye, it's just something that comes through on the camera. Also looks a little bit bluey there at the bottom. That's more what it does look like. So you got green at the bottom, and then you got one red segment at the top. There's a total of 12 segments in each column. I'm running through a frequency sweep here, and that reveals that there's no fakery going on at all. Each column does reflect a different frequency, and that's indicated by the legend that's printed at the bottom of the column. And feeding in my 3 kHz test tone, the one I use for measuring wow and flutter, does light up the nearest appropriate column. So it all looks pretty much good as far as accuracy goes, and as far as entertainment value goes, well, I've got no complaints there either. Just to give you an idea as to what it would look like in your average ordinary hi-fi, here it is down towards the bottom left. I don't know if it's just me, but it is reminiscent, well, I think so, of a roaring fireplace, a green one that's digital. Yeah, probably just me. The rack mounting ears on the case do make it wider than most hi-fi components though, so it might be difficult to fit into some cabinets. Anyway, let's move on now and have a look at the other display. This is a decibel display. The rack mounting ears are optional on this one, and there are no feet on the bottom. Again, it's in a metal case. It seems a very solid construction. There are 2 rows of 40 LEDs on the front, and around the back it's a similar story to the other one with RCA or XLR inputs and outputs. This one's powered via 5 volts, 500 milliamps, which is delivered by a barrel plug. A Euro plug USB power adapter was supplied, and again, Techmoan provided a UK adapter for that one, but I'll just plug this into one of my USB adapters. Now I'm going to wire it up in the same way as the other one, with the output going off to the speakers, the input coming from that Walkman. There's a demo button on the back of here though, so I'm going to press that after turning it on to see what it does, and it just does these chasing lights across the front. Now over on the right hand side there's a switch to choose between 2 different modes, 2 different types of display, but it doesn't have any bearing on this demo mode, so to find out what this does we're going to have to play some music through it. Each of the 2 rows of 40 LEDs consist of 20 green LEDs, 10 yellow and 10 red. But note that they're illuminated in pairs, so each row can display 20 different values, which are separated by those white vertical lines that you can see. Now next to the switch on the right there are 2 pots that affect the response, and you can see the results of adjusting the top one here. Now I've shot this video in 4K 30 and 30 frames a second might not be doing these displays justice, so if you prefer to see a 1080p 60 demonstration I've uploaded one separately, and it's accessible via the link in the description, the pop-up at the top right of the screen and the card at the end of the video. But with that said, let's have a quick look at both of these devices daisy-chained together. One very important feature of both these devices is that they pass the audio through passively, so if you turn them off the audio still gets routed through, and of course unplugging the power also has no effect, the audio just carries on. The reason that that's important is that you don't always have to turn on your flashing lights every time you want to listen to music. These things can just sit in your rack of equipment until you're feeling a bit flashy. So if you're interested, just to reiterate the prices, I bought mine from Fungeneration. This is not affiliated. You'll find that LED power meter thing on eBay as well, but it's usually more expensive there than it is at Techmoan, even accounting for any tax or postage costs. But as far as the Spectrum Analyzer goes, I've only seen that for sale on their website, and there does seem to be quite a bit of a wait for stock. I think it's probably the same bloke putting these together who's making the PS5s. But there you go, that's more frivolous nonsense that no one really needs, but putting mundane reality to one side, I think that these complement each other quite well, and I'm particularly impressed with that Spectrum Analyzer. Excluding any individual hobbyist devices, this is by far the most eye-catching one I've seen that's being put together today by a proper company. Anyway, that's it for the moment. As always, thanks for watching.